Well, good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon, and particularly the members of the Senate who are here with us today to celebrate the unanimous support of S.27 out of the Senate. It's a medical debt relief proposal which would eliminate up to $100 million of medical debt for over 60,000 Vermonters with a one-time $1 million appropriation. This is all done without any new fees or taxes. And it would also protect individuals' credit scores as well from medical debt reporting, potentially saving Vermonters significant money in interest savings and helping them get back on their feet after a medical emergency. Thanks to the full bipartisan support of the Senate, we're now one step closer to making this proposal law and eliminating medical debt for tens of thousands of Vermonters. We continue to look in our office for opportunities to lower costs for families, strengthen our economy, and give every Vermonter a fair shot at success. Right now, as we all know, one of the greatest challenges facing Vermonters is the high cost of health care in Vermont. It's putting pressure on their family budgets. Vermont has some of the highest health care costs in the country, and median incomes in the state have not kept pace with the extreme increase in health care costs, which puts many Vermonters at risk of going into medical debt in the first place, or unfortunately experiencing bankruptcy, which is one of the largest causes, if not the largest cause, of personal bankruptcy in the United States. So certainly at a time when healthcare costs are rising, the fact that we can bipartisanly and unanimously support S.27, which will eliminate $100 million of medical debt for Vermonters, will provide some life-changing relief to tens of thousands of our neighbors and Vermont residents. And again, this will prohibit the reporting of medical debt to a credit rating agency, helping protect Vermonters' credit scores. Because unlike other kinds of debt, medical debt's not a good indicator of somebody's credit worthiness. It's not a good indicator of whether credit should be extended to them, but oftentimes it does prevent them from getting the best rate, or does prevent them from getting a loan for a car or a home or other much needed investment in their life. So I think at this time in our country, and this time in Vermont, all the more important that we were able to, in the Senate was able to get to a bipartisan unanimous decision on S.27. We are most excited about that. I want to thank Senator Ginny Lyons, who was the co-lead sponsor on this bill, as well as Senator Ann Cummings. I want to thank Senator Collimore, who's here, and Senator Beck, who could not be here, but on the Republican side, it was really important to get a lot of co-sponsors on this bill and also to have your support. And also want to thank Senator Baruth for helping lead the Senate and lead successful passage of S.27 as well. So at that time, I'd like to introduce Senator Lyons to say a few words. I'm happy to take that if you'd like, Senator.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea. Thank you. Terrific. Oh, thank you all for being here. S.27 is really an important step forward in making health care affordable. When Vermonters look at debt, and medical debt is one of those things that is unexpected. We never expect to have a sudden illness or an injury, and that compounds the fracture when we have to pay for something that is high cost. Recently, I read a report about the effect of high health care costs on our own health. One of the things that I learned is not only do high health care costs cause economic problems regionally, but high health care costs and debt can result in folks committing suicide. So this is an increased mortality. So reducing debt and taking the burden of medical debt off of people's shoulders can actually have a strong benefit, in particular to young men who are faced with those debts and not a way to pay for them. So that's a sad note, but I think it's a happy note to say that the Treasurer has led us to a way to eliminate medical debt for citizens of Vermont. I won't say anything further, except we all know that many people struggle to pay for food or prescriptions at the same time that they are filled with worries about having outstanding debt. And this bill will go a long way to resolving both of those problems. So thanks again, and thank you very much to Treasurer Pieciak. Important.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Senator Martine LaRocque-Ulick. I'm Vice Chair of the Health and Welfare Committee in the Senate. I don't have any prepared statement, but I did just want to share something briefly with you. When this bill came to our committee in the beginning, I had a lot of questions, and I wasn't really sure where I stood on this issue. But one of the most compelling things that we heard in our committee was that folks were actually deferring going to get care in a hospital or in a primary care facility because of their debt. What that ends up doing in the long run is it means that folks eventually, when they do have to get care, they end up in the emergency room and they end up with high levels of acuity. And what those two things do ultimately is drive up the cost of care in our state. So this is a really compelling reason to support this particular bill, and it was one that ultimately got me to yes. Thank you.
Senator Harrison, would you like to say anything? No pressure.
I'll say one little. Thank you. Thank you. I'm Wendy Harrison, Windham District Senator, and I've worked a lot on housing the last couple of years. And we found in our housing discussions that medical debt was the most, that was the reason that for most of the bankruptcies of individuals. So medical debt, let me start again. Medical debt isn't just an issue for the medical world, it's also an issue for housing because it's the largest cost of personal bankruptcy. Thank you.
Nice. And now the bill will be in the House, and we look forward to the support in the House. We look forward to working with the right policy committees and advancing this through the House of Representatives. We have strong bipartisan support in terms of co-sponsors for the bill on the House side as well, which we're very happy about. But again, I can't thank the Senate enough for their support and leadership on this issue, and happy to take any questions if there are any questions.
You mentioned the amount of money that Millie would be able to give, but do you know how many ballpark, say, Vermonters that this would impact or be able to be a part of this program?
Yeah, so the estimate is 60,000 Vermonters will make up the folks that hold the $100 million in medical debt. So it will impact tens and tens of thousands of Vermonters.
Can you speak to their demographic? Are they older Vermonters? Are they middle-aged? What is the demographic there?
Generally, if you think about medical debt, it can happen to anybody, so it would reflect Vermont's demographics. But the one caveat for this program is that it will focus on individuals that have moderate and low incomes, so 400% of poverty and below. So it will capture demographically sort of all of the demographics of Vermont, but it will be overrepresented by median and lower income Vermonters. And if you think about where they're getting care and where it's hard to get care and expensive to get care, I would imagine it's going to be overrepresented in our rural communities across Vermont as well. Yes, of course.
So thank you for that question. We did hear about one young Vermonter who was confronted with what seems like a low level of debt, $9,000 to many people. And yet that would have put her under, so she couldn't afford a home and she couldn't have a family. Her debt was relieved through this similar process to what we're talking about today. And she went ahead and had her child and is very happily living at home today.
I guess once a bill like this does get passage through the House and ultimately a governor's signature, how and when would you start sort of doling out those funds and rolling this program out?
Yeah, so the bill, if it becomes law, gives us the authority and gives the Treasurer's Office the authority to enter into a third-party arrangement with a not-for-profit. There's one that is in this space that does this work almost exclusively called undue medical debt. So we would have to enter into a contract with undue medical debt, and then we would help them orient to the Vermont landscape, all of the hospitals that are in Vermont, all the other providers that might participate in the negotiations over the debt itself. And then when they're in a position to start those conversations, that will begin. I would expect it to be sometime in late this year, if we get successful passage.
I guess a final question for me in terms of the pot of money where that money is coming from. I know we talk a lot about spending, especially this session. There are no real impacts to the taxpayers here with this pot of money, right?
Yes, this money had already been appropriated to our office previously. We had $20 million appropriated to buy down outstanding debt for the state of Vermont. We, over the last 3 or 4 years, have been earning more money on the interest than we would be saving on the interest if we had paid off $20 million of the approximate $600 million of debt that's outstanding. So our suggestion is to take the $1 million from that pot of money that's already been appropriated and put it toward this, because we think this will have an outsized impact in terms of benefiting Vermonters rather than the $1 million of buying down state bonds.
You mentioned one of the things is there's no new money, but I guess seeing how this works after this year, could you see maybe using $2 million from your office the next year, or what does the future of this potentially look like if this were?
Yeah, well, the way, the bill, the fact that there's the relief component and then there's the prevention of medical debt reporting going forward, one part is an important retrospective look back, so eliminating $100 million, wiping the slate clean for the vast majority of moderate low-income Vermonters that have that eligibility. And then on a prospective basis, preventing the reporting of medical debt will help people financially and hopefully in terms of the health outcomes as well. So we don't foresee a need of doing this again. There may be other, the Senate also passed really good patient assistance legislation last year that should help people stay out of debt as well. So with all of that combined, it's really, really just important to look retrospectively, we believe, this one time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.